Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. It's episode 407. Hopefully, this is the episode where Bradley doesn't have a thunderstorm, but we'll see how that goes. Today's the 31st of August, 2022, the last episode for August, and we have got a ton of questions. I'm looking at the page, and we've got a few people hopping in, so good to see everybody. Wanted to say real quick before we get started, if you're new to Semantic Mastery, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate everyone watching. The best ways to get started is to subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, great. Just go ahead and click subscribe. If you're not watching it on YouTube, hop over there, subscribe. Joining the mastermind is usually the next great step. But if you want to just hang out in Hump Day Hangouts, get some questions answered, that's cool too. If you want to find out more about the mastermind, you can go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Now, if you are on YouTube, I know we have some people who find us on YouTube. That's great. But make sure you go to semanticmastery.com/HDHO to ensure you get your questions answered. That's where we collect all the questions, and it helps us too, because if we need some clarification, we can get it. So let's say hello to the guys real quick, and then we're going to jump into your questions after some short announcements. So Chris, how you doing?
Good. Glad to be here today in sunny Vienna as usual. End of summer, but things are pretty good, warm. And I'm still super excited. Actually, I'm a bit scared.
Yeah.
Because POFU Live is coming up.
Yep.
And I'm still working on my speech. So lots of work to do, but exciting times.
Well, speaking of putting work into speeches for POFU Live, Bradley, how are you doing?
Peachy. I am also concerned, as Chris is. POFU Live is fastly approaching, and I've got way more work to get done than I will probably get done. So it's okay, because I wanted to have some SOPs done for what I'm going to be teaching at POFU Live, and they'll still get done, but they probably won't be ready for the event. But the method and the training will be done. But the SOPs so that you can outsource that or delegate it to a virtual assistant probably won't be done for about 2 weeks until about 2 weeks after the event, which is fine. It's better for me to do it that way than to try to rush it and then have it kind of be like a subpar SOP. So I kind of made a decision yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm just not, if you've ever watched, and I hope I don't offend anybody here, but if you've ever watched The Big Lebowski, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, John Goodman, who's also from POFU Live, where we got the whole like position of fuck you, as John Goodman in a different movie. But in The Big Lebowski, he's talking to the dude and he's saying that nothing is fucked. You're being very undude right now, And so I have to say that to myself sometimes when I start to get overwhelmed. I have to just take a breath and I say, like, nothing is fucked. we'll get it worked out. And so I'm excited about POFU Live. I've got a lot of really good things that I plan on sharing, and it's turned out that we've got a really good lineup this year as well. So
nice. Yeah. Speaking of, so I mean, you've got Bradley, you've got Chris, you've got myself. We've got Jesper Nissen, David Hood, Jeremy Notzelman, Brian Cato's coming back, and last but not least, I believe Bradley just contacted Mike Merlino is going to be joining us. So really looking forward to that, and that's just the main day. We're also doing the VIP day. If you're in the US and you get a VIP ticket, we will ship you a beer, selected beer, and then we're going to do like a virtual beer tasting guided. And then be hanging out, talking to people. And we mention it each time. It's a lot of fun for us, but it's also one of the things that we get the most feedback on. People really enjoy it. It's a way for people to hang out, meet each other, talk shop. I think Bradley touched on it last week, and I liked his explanation, right? How often you get to geek out on this stuff with people who do the same as you, right? A lot of times you can mention this, people like, oh, cool, yeah, I know about SEO, this or that. But how often do people really care or really want to get into it and dork out like over beers? Yeah. So yeah, I think that was one of the best explanations I've heard of it. So that's basically what it is, with a little pretense of a guided beer tasting at first. But it's a lot of fun. You get to hang out. The speakers will be there too. And then we'll be there, of course, and other VIP attendees. So highly suggest that. If you want to find out more, go to pofulive.com, grab your ticket. We are now fast approaching. We're under 30 days, getting close to 3 weeks out. So grab your ticket and come on board. Really looking forward to doing that. It's the 23rd and 24th of September. Let's see, Bradley, you mentioned SOPs with the mastermind too. I know there's been a lot going on there. I'm not going to dive too far into that. Is there any updates you wanted to give for people on the mastermind, or should I just give people a good reminder to go join the mastermind, because that's the best place to be?
Yeah. No, I haven't. I mean, the SOPs not much has changed in that just yet right now, because like I said, I'm preparing for POFU Live. So that's taking up the bulk of my attention right now. But what I'm going to be sharing at POFU Live, like I said, I'm developing an SOP for that. And generally in the mastermind, come January, about 3 months after the live event, is when I end up generally releasing everything that I do for POFU Live into the mastermind. Again, we always say this, mastermind has its privileges. So, you know, I encourage people to still attend live if they can. When I say live, I mean, it's virtual, but come to the POFU Live event. But if you're a mastermind member, you end up getting the vast majority of that anyways, just at a later time. And that's what I would recommend. You know, if you can't come join the live event, hey, come join the mastermind, because that's how you get access to everything anyways. So, and then I constantly do update webinars for, which we have this week. Tomorrow again is the next mastermind webinar, where I go in like over the shoulder, kind of, you know, anything anybody wants me to cover, I cover. I'm a complete open book. I teach all of my link building methods, exactly how I do everything, which is funny because I teach people in the mastermind how I do my link building. And there's many people that are building links themselves. They're doing it in-house using the methods that I've taught. And that's fantastic. That's why I teach it. But it's interesting. A lot of the times I teach that method and then people say, man, that's awesome. Can you do it for me? Well, yeah, I can do it for you. I mean, I can do that too. But it's just, you know, people often, you know, I think there's a lot of times service providers don't want to provide their methods because they think that they're going to work themselves out of business. And that makes sense. I mean, I can kind of understand that as well. But what I have found is most people like to know what the method is, but don't really actually want to do it themselves. Maybe they don't have the bandwidth, or maybe they don't have the desire to do it. And that's fine. So, you know, that's where the done for you services come in. And I found that oftentimes if you teach people what the method is, then they have more trust in hiring or, you know, using your services, because they understand fully what's being done, instead of it being like smoke and mirrors or the man behind the curtain pulling the strings, so to speak. So again, if anybody's curious, I know I can only talk about stuff conceptually here on Hump Day Hangouts because it's free. Imagine what I give away in the mastermind, if that makes sense. So
definitely. Yeah. If you're interested in that, come join us, mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Let's see, guys. Anything else I'm forgetting?
You're forgetting a lot, man.
Well, I know, but what am I forgetting?
Mastermind and POFU Live. Only Bradley is going to share all those things in the mastermind, obviously, like from the POFU. But all the other speakers are not. So, like, you still, if you want those things, and also what I'm sharing, you still have to be at POFU. And like, especially the SOPs, I highly recommend you join the POFU event, because they are literally invaluable. Like, I got a sneak peek and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. So we're updating the page shortly with more about what the speakers are going to be covering, a little bit of the timeline, and there's some good stuff on there. So not just our stuff, but really looking forward to the guest speakers. There's going to be some really good stuff this year. Cool. All right. Well, thanks.
We had a couple more though, very briefly.
Right.
GMB Crush.
Oh, right.
We should mention that again. Mateo's training is badass, and GMB Crush, the app, is really good too. But like I said, I like a combination of his app plus the training. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Adam will drop a link on the page here. But GMB Crush is, and Mateo over there, like he's got a great Chrome extension, and also like an app that you can sign into and do audit reports that you can use for prospecting. It helps to provide like optimization tips and shows what the competitors are doing, so that you can make sure that you're optimizing, meet and exceed what the competitors are doing. So it's got a lot of really great functionality. The GMB Crush app does itself, but I think in addition to that, where I think the value is if you purchase an annual license for the GMB Crush app, you'll get the training, what he calls the GMB Crush Money training. And it's his training's great because he does a ton of testing. And I said this last week as well. When I started my link building business, I had methods that I had been testing for my own clients, my own lead gen stuff, which was mostly all contractor type stuff, mostly tree guys, tree contractors. And so I had a pretty good idea that it would work across different industries, the link building methods across different industries. But it wasn't until I actually started doing it. And now I manage over 70 locations just for the link building business. And so it's given me access to a ton of data, which has made me a much better link builder because I start to identify patterns and trends and things like that. And Mateo's like that with Google Business Assets. Like he has access to so many different Google Business Assets, and he does a ton of testing. So he's really good at that stuff. And so his training is phenomenal. And I would encourage you guys to check that out. Again, I can't say enough good things about him and what he's got going on over at GMB Crush. So that was what I wanted to share.
Cool.
Is that it? Are we good?
I think so.
All right, let's get into questions.
I mean, look up here. Yeah, I'm scrolling up. I think the first person was Magnificent Chatter. Like 2 comments below mine. I think there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we answered this one last time, did we?
Well, it said, hey, thanks for answering this. So that's why I was like, I see the days on mine. I see 7 days ago for that. So that must have been
really?
the day of Hump Day Hangouts. Yeah.
Well, I'll answer it anyway, just because I don't remember answering this one last week, and I think it's relevant. It's a good question, and then we'll move on. So, hey guys, first I want to say thank you for answering this. I've never used rel-canonical. Can you explain what it is so I'm not missing anything? Yeah, you can. I mean, you can do a Google search. What is canonical? And it's it was kind of invented by Google, and it's a way to push credit from very similar. It's supposed to be from like duplicated pages. So if there's more than one page on a particular site that has very similar content or duplicate content, which it's not really a thing, it's a name that we give it. But anyways, if it's basically like a copy of another page and it's published on the same site, that can actually be a negative ranking signal or a negative ranking factor, right? So one of the ways that you can overcome that, if you still want to have both pages on the site published on the site for whatever reason, is, and Google developed this or came up with this many years ago. I think it was in 2012. They have again, if you just do a Google search for it, I could probably find it, but let's just pull it up right. Canonical. I can never spell that. Canonical. A-I-C-A-L. I think that's it. Canonical. Yeah. What is? Anyways, if you do a search for it, it was on the Google blog, so which was actually like a blogger blogspot, and I think it was in 2012. Anyway, long story short, what it is a canonical tag is a way to have more than one page on the site that is basically a copy or very similar content, and push the credit from the duplicated pages to the original. That's all it is. It's a tag that goes in the HTML header, rel equals canonical, and then the URL. And it just basically says, it's telling Google that these other pages or this other page or pages are also published on the site, but the credit belongs and should be pushed or given to this one page because it's very similar content or it's duplicated content, a copy of it. So that's all it is. But you can, of course, what do we do as SEOs? We figure out ways to manipulate those things. And canonicals can be manipulated. You can do some pretty ninja stuff with canonicals because it's not really the same thing as a backlink, but it still does push credit. So there's some pretty ninja stuff you can do, like canonicals with tag pages. I talked about that last week. So anyway, if you just do like a Google canonical search, I'm curious now because I want to find it. Google canonical, consolidate duplicate URLs with canonical tags right there. Then there's also on one, it was on originally when I saw it, it was on the Blogger blog for, and they may, that blog might not even be available anymore. My guess is it still is, but I just have to find it. But again, just go do a Google search, Google canonical, and it's the first result underneath the ad, which is consolidate duplicate URLs with canonical tags. And this will explain it better. Does that make sense? So there you go. That's a good question though. I plan on using it on a subdomain page, pointing it back to my main site. Does the content have to be exact match? No, it doesn't. It just closely related content can be canonicalized as well. So that's what I recommend. It doesn't have to be an exact match. Next question. Hey guys, I got a client that I'm doing local SEO for. They already rank number 1 and number 3 for keywords in the city that they are based. Would it be worth adding location pages for their main area alongside other location pages? Or would you leave the home page in its place and not bother with another location page? I mean, if they're already ranking in the city, I don't see why you would add the location pages unless I'm not understanding the question. Perhaps you want So in the city that they are based for their main area alongside other location pages. Yeah, if they're already ranking in their desired areas, then I wouldn't mess with the structure of the site, because that could end up, if you end up adding location pages where right now the homepage URL, for example, is, or the location landing page associated with the Google Business Profile. If it's a single location business, it's typically going to be the homepage URL. If that is ranking in your desired area already, and you start to add location pages, they could compete with the homepage. That's more of an organic phenomenon than it is something that happens in maps. So I don't really know that I've seen cannibalization in maps. Not saying that it can occur, I just haven't seen it. Where at least where I could clearly identify that that's what was happening. That is more of an organic phenomenon. It definitely happens though. And I know that, for instance, I mentioned this before, but I like to do embeds for the rebuilds or for semantic links, what I call rebuilds, which are reclaimed domains that we go out and find that were, already in the former content was relevant, or at least in a related category. It's got a clean link profile, clean history. It's already got topical trust flow in the appropriate category, all that kind of stuff. And if in a rebuild when I first started doing this, I like to do embeds. I do a lot of embeds at the Google Business website into the rebuilds, and also the Google Map. Obviously, we do mostly map embeds instead of links to the map URL. We do mostly embeds, but we also do embed the Google Business website quite often. And I did some testing with embedding the money page. Instead of a link to a money page, a money site page, we would do an embed, and found out that sometimes the rebuilt domains, or the rebuilds as I call them, because they were clean and had relevant link profiles and all of that, sometimes those would cannibalize the money site page if we did an embed. Meaning, let's say that the money site page was ranked number 5 on first page of Google, and then we did an embed on a rebuild to help push that higher in the search results. And what I ended up experiencing was, in some cases, the rebuilt domain would end up replacing in the search results the money site URL. So the rebuilt domain ranks, and the money page that was ranked is embedded in that rebuilt domain. So it would still be present in the search results, but under a different domain, because it was the rebuilt domain that would end up cannibalizing the money page, even though the money page was embedded, so it was still present in the same kind of position. I saw that occur more than once. So that's when I said, okay, that's it. We're going to stop embedding money site pages, because we don't want to cannibalize the money page. We want the money page to rank, right? The money site page to rank, instead of the rebuild. The rebuild was just to help push the money site, and it wasn't supposed to replace it. So that's why I recommend kind of the same thing with, I don't know that would occur in maps. It's more, like I said, it's more of an organic type thing. Not that it can't happen. I don't think I've ever seen that. So if you would start to build location pages, you could potentially compete. The location pages could be competing with the, homepage URL, or whatever the location landing page is that's already ranking in maps, if that makes sense. So I would be cautious about that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? I feel like that would be, now, if you want to expand the centroid, right? If you want to expand the maps coverage area beyond wherever its current coverage is, then that might be something that you'd want to do, is add location pages around the, outskirts or the perimeter of where the ranking starts to tank, which generally there's going to be some kind of in the maps, or at least I see it often, you'll be ranking really well, and then there comes a point in the maps coverage, or the area that you're tracking with a local search grid report, where it starts to drop off very, very rapidly. You might be in the top 3 for quite a good size area, but then when it starts to drop, it drops very quickly, if that makes sense. Those are kind of like those areas where it starts to go from green to yellow before it goes to red. That kind of area where it's yellow is where, if you start to publish location pages properly, then you can start to increase the coverage that you get in Google Maps. And those are, geo pages or geo posts, things like that. That's very much what I'm going to be teaching about at POFU Live this year, in 3 weeks. I'm going to be talking very much about building local organic sites in a very particular structure, that if you have a map asset, it has a significant influence on maps, but it also ranks well just organically. So it's not dependent on Google Maps or having Google business profiles attached to them. That's precisely what I'm going to be teaching about at POFU Live in 3 weeks. So I would encourage you to come attend because this might be helpful for you as well. All right. Next one. I'm looking to offer link building services for a particular industry like legal, but own a really good brandable domain in this space with nothing on it. What's, I guess, a way I can build this into a site that I can monetize myself as a business asset and integrate into my service offering when doing SEO for clients in that space? The domain name would make a nice affiliate blog or content site, but not sure the best approach. Personally, for me, I've been talking about this for over a year now, is perhaps a directory site. A really good brandable name in the space with nothing of it. If you want to offer link building services in a particular industry, I mean, again, a directory site's a great option because a directory site can be used as a prospecting tool to start to initiate conversations with your target audience or your ideal prospect. Does that make sense? And it can also be used as a link building opportunity because you own and control it. So you can use that to build links to your client's assets or to your own assets if you're doing lead gen, that kind of stuff. You can monetize a directory if you want. You can also use your own directory as a buffer site so that if you're offering link building services to attorneys, for example, if it was a directory site, you could do most of your link building to your own, to their listing, your client's listing on your directory site. So now what are you doing? You're using their budget to power up your directory that flows through their page to their assets, but you are benefiting from their links as well. You're providing them the benefit that they're paying for, but at the same time, you're also powering up your own asset. So again, that's why like TreeCare HQ has been great for me because I use TreeCare HQ as a prospecting tool, which is originally why I started that whole project, was to just initiate conversations with tree contractors, but it has turned into one of a primary tier 1 asset for link building. And when I have paying clients or lead buyers, all of the links on TreeCare HQ are no follow, except for paying clients, lead gen assets, or lead buyers. All of those end up going, I switch those to do follow links. I can inject schema into those pages. I can add well-tuned content with, heading tags, outbound links, Google Map embeds. I can do all kinds of really cool stuff to the listing pages for my paying clients, right? And then those TreeCare HQ directory pages now become primary link building targets that I do a lot of link building to, which flows through to their money assets, their 3 tier 0 assets, their money site and their Google business assets, Google business website and Google Map. I can push all that through TreeCare HQ, but if they decide at some point that they don't need my services anymore, then I can just go no follow their links again from their directory listing. And my directory still benefits from all the link building that I did to my directory page, but their assets do not because I've no followed their links or removed the links entirely. Does that make sense? So again, it's a way to maintain control. I prefer a directory site just because of all the reasons I just mentioned. You can also do affiliate stuff and all that. I don't do any of that. But think about, you said, or a blog or a content site. Couldn't you do a blog or add content areas to a directory site? Of course you could, right? So you could use the directory site again, which can be used also as a blog, but it can be used for initiating conversations, link building assets, all kinds of stuff. So I think going after a single niche is absolutely my recommended process for anybody doing SEO. It becomes so much easier to scale when you really learn about one industry and you do it really well. You don't have to come up with all the new, you don't have to learn the vocabulary and all the keywords and what kind of copy converts and all that. You learn it once, and through trial and error, you fine tune it. And now you've got a system that you can duplicate very, very quickly and easily by just finding new clients and new locations, right? Because it's the same industry. All the creatives and everything, all the work that you've done, that you figured out what works, will work in other locations. It's the same industry. It's just the only thing that's different is the location. So that's why, like I said, I think it's a great idea that you're going after a particular industry. If you've got a really good brandable domain, hey, in my opinion, there's no better thing to do than create a directory site. Now, in the legal space, there's a bunch of directories, Justia, FindLaw, there's a bunch of them that are very, very authoritative. That's hard to compete with. So why not specialize? If just using the legal space as an example, you could specialize in on, family law attorneys or criminal justice attorneys or immigration attorneys, and then like, or personal injury attorneys, which there's so many subsets within personal injury attorneys, it's ridiculous, right? There's real estate attorneys and corporate attorneys as well. There's all these different kind of like legal fields. There are specializations within the legal field, and then there are specializations within those specializations. So like I mentioned this before, but like personal injury attorneys, there's, car accident chiropractors and boat accident chiropractors and workplace accident chiropractors, attorneys, or lawsuits. There are all these different kind of, specializations within the personal injury attorney or legal space. So you're better off probably, if you're going to go after something as broad as legal and as competitive as legal, is probably going after something that's a lot more specialized. You'll get more traction that way. If that makes sense. Okay. That was a good question too. How would you approach an SEO campaign for a client where after a few months, one of the components in your mix isn't working well and not really helping? How can we transition the campaign without looking unprofessional? Just tell them. SEO is a moving target. It's always evolving. Just be honest. Don't ever try to hide it. Just be honest. Seriously, that's the best policy is honest. Like honesty is the best policy. I know that sounds cliche, but it truly is. Business owners will respect that kind of, most of them. Sometimes you're going to get somebody that they're not going to be happy that would complain even if you hung them with a new rope. You know what I mean? There's some people that are just never going to be happy, and there's nothing you're going to do that's going to make them happy. They're going to bitch and complain no matter what. But I found that if you just be honest when you make a mistake, or if something changes from what the original kind of scope of work or plan was, you just bring it to their attention. Like, hey, this is what SEO is a moving target. It's constantly evolving. There's changes being made all the time. We have to evolve with those changes. I know this is what our original plan was, but here is why this is no longer very effective. And here is what my replacement or my alternative is to replace that service, if that makes sense. And just bring that to their attention. Guys, video emails is great for that. Use Loom or Snagit or Screencast-O-Matic or anything. Any one of those are great. But I communicate with my clients very much so through video email. Just ask my link building clients too. But I've been doing this for my agency work clients for years. It works really, really good. So that's a good opportunity for you to record a video explaining what it is that you just mentioned. Like, hey, I've got, this was part of the original scope of work and what I was going to be as part of the deliverables. However, it's no longer working. It's not very effective anymore. And therefore I want to replace it with this. And this is why I think this will work better, or this is why I know this will work better, whatever. Let me know your thoughts before I proceed, right? Say that to them in the video, and then send them the video. Let them watch it when it's convenient to them. They can fully understand what it is you're trying to convey. You don't have to worry about fielding objections until after they understand what you conveyed via video email. When I say video email, it's just a video. You just send it to them in email. That's it, right? And I found that most of my clients, find that to be incredibly valuable and helpful when you explain it that way. And again, including my link building clients. I do a lot of video emails for my link building clients. It's an enormous amount of time, but it also, make sure that they understand where we're at any given time with the project. And I do the same thing with my agency clients, not every month. I don't send a video email every month, but when there's something important that I have to convey to them, I do. And they appreciate that. So I encourage you to do the same thing. Okay. Next one. Do you have a specific set of tools you use for local SEO monthly packages? If so, what does your local SEO campaigns usually include each month for the client? Well, yeah, I've got dozens of tools. But, I offer Google Business SEO, which includes Google Business Posts, content. We for my monthly kind of retainer clients, we do content as part of it. Content marketing is part of it. So that includes Google Business Posts, press releases, depending on some clients just, some clients we just do a press release every 2 weeks. Some clients we do one every week. Some of my older clients are still on just one press release per month, but most of my clients are either on one every 2 weeks or one per week. But we do Google Business Posts, depending on the client. It ranges anywhere between 3 posts per week down to just 1 post per week. At the bare minimum, we do 1 post per week. Depends on what the budget was for the client. But we do, it depends on the on page. If they have a self-hosted website, it depends whether we manage that or maintain their site for them or not. In the last 2 years, I won't take on a client. I won't manage their website If I take on a client that already has a website built and they don't have me build them a new website, then I won't do any on-page optimization for their website. I don't care if it's WordPress or what, I just won't do it. I tell them flat out, and I make that clear up front. Like, hey, unless we're going to build a new website for you, we're not going to do any on-page optimization. We will provide consultation. We can send a video, to recommendations to your webmaster to execute to get better results from it, but we will not manage your site unless we build it. But we can do everything else through the Google Business Asset, right? And then all the tier 1 entity assets. So Google Sites, Drive Stacks, ID pages, Press Advantage organization page, all the other stuff that we typically do. So my monthly retainer includes Google Business Optimization, which includes posting, publishing the Google post. So all the on-page factors, which includes building out branded tier 1 entity assets. Again, I just mentioned those: Drive Stack, G Site, Press Advantage organization page, ID page, batch geomap, cloud pages, syndication network, or branded Web 2.0 network. All of that kind of stuff gets built. I consider those all on-page factors, even though they're external assets. I consider them on-page because they're branded. Does that make sense? Then we do the off-page signals, which includes content marketing, such as press releases, link building, citations, video. We do reputation building for most of my clients. We do that now. It's just part of the retainer because I set up a separate high-level sub account for them, and it's simple to do. So we do reputation building. We also use David Sprague's rep videos as part of reputation marketing, which we combine with press releases anyways. So I don't know. You know what? I forgot we have a white label. I'll show you what. Here's a better idea. I just went through all this explanation, and it would have been, I just paused the screen for a minute, guys. Because it would just make more sense if I just show you what the white label pricing is. You'll get an idea of what it is that we offer. So I'm going to grab this URL. Adam, are you still on? Can you post this in chat?
Sure.
Give this to you in Slack real quick. These are our white label pricing for Google Business SEO, and I'll pull it open just so you guys can see it. We'll just review it very quickly. Okay. So here's what we price for, and this gives you an idea. Now, if there's a self-hosted website, like I said, we will also do website optimization if we build the site, or we'll provide consultation recommendations that we will provide to the webmaster to have them execute for on-page optimization. But I won't touch a site if I don't build it, if that makes sense. And it's just because there's too many customizations and too much stuff that can go wrong. And I don't have the bandwidth or the desire to want to learn how to optimize, 18 different page builders and all that kind of stuff. So about 2 years ago, I said, that's it, I'm done. Either we build the site or we don't touch it. We will provide consultation instead. So here are the kind of packages that we offer. And it just kind of gives you just a very high level overview. There are more deliverables than that if you break it down a little bit further, but this is just kind of an idea. That makes sense. Moving on. All right. Next one. Do you still think it's a good idea to build a PBN of expired Web 2s with quality content for link building purposes, or better to build a traditional PBN? They can both be useful. If you're going to build them on Web 2s, it makes sense to do so as long as you theme them. They're all topically relevant, so they're topic clustered type of builds. You put good content on them and then you power those up. They can be very valuable. So how do you power up the Web 2 networks? Well, with topically relevant links. So you still need good topically relevant links to power up the Web 2 network to make it particularly effective. Does that make sense? So in other words, you're still going to need kind of more traditional, like, again, PBN links, if they're topically relevant PBN links, to power up your Web 2 PBN or your Web 2 blog network that you set up. If you're going to use that, it can still be very, very valuable, but again, it's about topical relevance and pushing topical relevance into it. And then you can push topical relevance from there to your target assets. But, just having Web 2 sites that aren't, again, topical relevance is what matters. So if you're going to build those out and you build them out with content that's all kind of related around the same topic, that's going to help. But also powering those up is really the best way to do it, in my opinion. So you're still going to need topically relevant links. that just adds more diversity to your link profile. And I think that's important. I think that's valuable. There's still something to be said for that. Not only that, but we talk about this with Syndication Academy, excuse me, building out branded profiles on Web 2 networks. That is still not just building out a branded profile, but also interlinking when possible to other branded profiles, right? And continually expanding your entity footprint, which is that's what Syndication Academy is all about now. It's not so much about syndicating anymore. It was for many years, but now it's not so much about syndicating as it is about building and expanding your entity footprint. That's precisely what Syndication Academy is now, is really evolved into. And that's powerful too. And again, that's kind of a slow thing that it over time, like all of a sudden you reach a like critical mass or a tipping point. If you continually add branded profiles to the entity, right? You're helping Google to engineer the knowledge graph for that local entity, right? That's exactly what it does. And at some point you reach kind of a critical mass or a tipping point where it becomes very, very powerful. You've built the established authority for that local entity. And much of that has to do with validating it by having a branded presence or a branded profile on all these different platforms, and an interlinking, which is making the associations that those are all part of the same brand, right? And so that's not even a network. That's not even a blog network. That's just an entity. Those are entity assets. You just continually add to those. And that's also a really good strategy. That's, typically what we do for my clients and things like that. We just every month we just build anywhere between 5 to 15 branded Web 2.0 profiles. And over time, like for whatever reason, I've seen in the tree service industry, I've seen it around month 5 is when it generally starts to kick in and really have a significant effect. So it is tedious work. It's not something that any of you should be doing yourselves. You can hire a virtual assistant to do that. That's what I recommend you do. And actually hiring a virtual assistant and just put them into the Syndication Academy training and have them go through that. And every 2 weeks, SE does a update webinar. She just did another one today that will show you how to build, set up another profile, 1 to 3 profiles every update webinar. Shows you how to create the profile, optimize it, and an interlink when possible. It's pretty powerful. Okay. My friend started a few affiliate sites 3 years ago, and the lucky jerk is almost hitting 5 digits a month total. Well, I don't know if he's a lucky jerk or he just, is that luck, or is that because he put forth some effort, took some action, and now it's paying off. I know what you mean, but sometimes we envy others. So I get it. He's vetting, worried. He's getting worried. Okay. He's getting worried because competition is catching up. He asked me this, which I couldn't answer. Redirects are something I've never used. He wants to make his own tiny URL. He's wondering if he builds out the site with niche related content, would it be ready for ranking? He's basically done everything himself, weekly article writing, guest posts, and a lot of backlink begging. Yeah. So he's not a lucky jerk. He's put the effort in, right? And I know you were just saying that tongue in cheek, but he put the effort in. He's done everything himself, wrote articles, guest posts, a lot of backlink begging. So he's put the work in, and now it's starting to pay off, which is awesome. I told him it would be worth more to assign SEO shields, some branded cloud stacks, and power them up with semantic mastery backlink service to build trust in these juggernaut domains. Thanks. Yeah, I agree. I mean, thank you, by the way. That's a great recommendation. I fully endorse that recommendation, but no, what you're saying is true. And I agree. And, but there, having your own custom branded link shortener, I've done that. I do that for some of my clients. I've created their own custom redirect. I just use Pretty Links, which is a plugin in WordPress. And then, so we create, in some cases, like for Tree Care HQ and for semantic mastery, we have smshort.link. That's our redirect, our own tiny short, link shortener. Our own link shortener is smshort.link, right? And it's funny, one of our newer mastermind members, one of our redirects was broken, and I have a 404 to start plugin. So in other words, any sort of 404 redirects to the home page, and this is what it redirects. Oh shit, I'm logged in. Let me back out of that. Let me go into this is funny because I set this up years ago. And sometimes I forget that it's even been done, but smshort.link. And I have one for TreeCare HQ. It's tchq.link for TreeCare HQ.link. And I've got several of those for clients too. But smshort.link has just got Sam Jackson. Nothing to see here. Keep scrolling, motherfucker. And I think that's funny as hell. But one of our newer mastermind members, one of the short links that we had published somewhere was broken. And any 404 will redirect to the homepage. And he was like, "You guys got the new guy." it was really funny. We just posted that this morning. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, actually, like I said, with TCHQ, in fact, I probably don't have Majestic open. I bet you I don't. I was going to say, if you look at, if you're using the short URL as part of, to redirect stuff that you end up building links to, you can power up your redirect domain, right? Your own link shortener. And then it does become more powerful. For example, MGYB, which was the store that we had run for a while when Marco was still part of Semantic Mastery, and Marco and Rob kind of ran the store, and we had a store that we called MGYB, which stood for Make Google Your Bitch. It's no longer, they still have a store, but it's now called the Heavy Hitter Club or store or whatever. Anyway, they're not part of us anymore. But the MGYB was the domain. We had mgyb.co was the domain name, and we used that for link shortening for drive stack stuff. And we've done that for years. And so the MGYB domain, because they've been spammed to death from people that were building what we taught, which was to do bulk spam links to SEO shields, had really powered that domain up. And so that link shortener became kind of a power center in and of itself, right? All on its own. And so I took that after kind of experiencing that, I took that and started building my own branded link shorteners for different projects. Like I said, smshort.link, tchq.link, etc. And over time, they become more powerful, especially if you're using those redirects. Here's another thing. If you're building links for clients, or in your friend's case, an affiliate project, but for client work specifically, if instead of like building links direct to their money site URLs, you create a redirect from your own branded link shortener, and then you build all the links to the redirect URL. That way, what happens if the client decides to stop being a client? You can remove the redirect, but your redirect domain will still benefit from the link building that you did. You instantly stop the link equity going to the target assets of the client that no longer wants to pay you, but you still have an asset that is receiving and maintaining the benefit of all the link building work that you did. Does that make sense? So that's, again, more control that you get to keep as if you have your own link shortener. So I think that's a great strategy. I do encourage that. Use your own link shortener, build your own, and tell your friend to do the same. But at the same time, tell your friend semantic links would also be a great option for him. So appreciate that. Your check's in the mail. Next one. Do you know of any good providers to help verify our social profiles? I do not. I'm sorry. I don't do a whole lot of social media stuff, because I stick mainly to SEO. Other than YouTube and Facebook pages, I don't really do much on the social media side of things. That's about it. How do you guys go about determining search volumes? Well, I mean, I just use Google Ads Keyword Planner, or Keywords Everywhere or whatever. Most of them just integrate with Google Ads Keyword Planner for search volume, which, by the way, is not great for SEO metrics because it's not an SEO tool. It's a Google Ads tool, but it's just an indicator. But those numbers are not accurate anyways. They're just an indicator of search volume. They're not really accurate. And again, remember, when we are doing keywords research for SEO projects, it really is different than the keywords that the Google Ads Keyword Planner. Those are keywords that are being targeted by advertisers. So paying for PPC, pay per click. Those are different kind of search volumes than organic keywords get. So more recently, my favorite keyword tool is WriterZen, which was on AppSumo forever. But it's no, I don't think it might still be on AppSumo, but I doubt it. But WriterZen, this is a great tool, and they've got a fantastic keyword research tool that does all in title, which is it does show search volume, which I think it's pulling search volume data from, I thought it was Ahrefs, but I think I remember that they actually stopped integrating with Ahrefs. I don't know. Anyway, they've got a keyword tool that this is a great tool for it also has like an AI writing assistant and an outline builder and all that. And it's okay for that. But what I like this for precisely is the keyword tool, because it's got what they call all in title metrics, which are really truly SEO. That's how you measure competition for SEO keywords. It's by doing all in title searches. So it's a Boolean search in Google, and it will show you how many pages are been indexed by Google that are targeting those specific keywords. So that's how you can get a true measure of competition on an SEO basis, not a Google Ads basis, right? So this is a really, really good keyword tool. It's probably my favorite keyword tool right now. It has been for the last 6 months or so. It's a really good tool for keyword research. Again, the AI writing assistant and everything else isn't great. I mean, it's okay, but I like some other tools better for like developing outlines and everything else. But where I think this shines the best is the keyword tool. Okay. But again, I use Google Ads because I'm an advertiser. I run Google Ads, so I spend money in Google Ads, which means I get full search volume metrics from Google Ads, which again aren't fully relevant for SEO purposes, but they're just a good indicator, right? But you have to be spending money in Google Ads, or else they don't show you they don't show you exact search volume metrics. They just show you a range, which isn't really all that helpful. Any tools, good tools to keep track of our brand SERPs for rep management? Well, I mean, I use Bright Local for rank tracking. They've been having some issues this past week, though. I'll tell you that. It's been a bit frustrating. But you can add brand search terms into that, right? And that will track brand search terms. And they also have a reputation monitor. And again, that's Bright Local. So that's all I use for that kind of stuff. How can we improve brand term rankings in Bing? I've done cloud stack, syndication rings, and link building plus embeds along with citations. Google has all entities, but Bing shows random pages unrelated to my industry. That's a great question. I honestly have no idea. I know Essie is going, I don't know if this is what she just did, but there is, we talked about this last week too. It's something called Bing pages. You might want to check that out. That's probably, I have not done anything with this yet. Essie from Syndication Academy is going to do, if she didn't do it today, she's going to do a presentation on Bing pages. This is what I would recommend starting with, even though I don't really know much about it. All I know is that this gives us an opportunity to optimize for Bing, right? So this would probably be worth looking into, but I don't do a lot of Bing SEO. So I'm not real sure. I'm not sure what else you can do. Wonder if there's CTR for Bing, CTR manipulation tools for Bing. If there are, perhaps doing some CTR manipulation. So, branded search and clicks through Bing using some of the CTR tools, if there are any that will work with Bing. I don't know that there are, but if you can find some, that might be another method as well. Okay, next one. Afternoon, gang. I bought an expired 22-year-old Nissan dealership domain in New Jersey. Only problem is for the past few years, it was taken over by Chinese bot farms. Yeah, there's a lot of that. When you're hunting for domains, you see a lot of that. I just destroy those domains. Like I just delete those domains. I don't even look at them. If I see that it's been spammed with some sort of Asian, and it's not all just Chinese, by the way, because I see the same thing. And I don't know why it's Asian stuff. And don't anybody take offense to this. I'm not being racist. I'm just saying, for whatever reason, in domain hunting, I find a lot, and not so much me anymore, but my team finds a lot of domains that have been spammed by Chinese, Korean, Japanese, like it's all across the board. And I don't know why there's such a demand for US or English domains that get spammed by Asian countries. I don't understand what the attraction is for that. There's got to be a reason for it. I just don't know what it is. But like I said, whenever I find a domain where the recent history has been spammed, we delete it. We don't even consider it as a potential domain to be used. If it was spammed 5 years ago, but for the last 5 years, it's been relevant or related content, then that's okay. I don't mind that because it's established a new history, right? But if the most recent history has any sort of spam in it, we just eliminate that, right? It's disqualified. Yeah. Is there no hope for this site? I wouldn't waste my time. Just find another one. You can find other domains. Trust me, you can find other domains. Yeah, I'd just abandon it. You only paid whatever, $12 or whatever it was to register it. Just abandon it. Find another one. You're better off. Oh, wow. I thought we were going to run out of time. I think we're good.
Yeah, not bad.
All right. Good afternoon. Any advice on locating expired domains for rebuilds? Yeah. PBN Lab. Do we have Pretty Links open? We do. Stand by.
Yeah, I'll grab that.
Yeah. And oh, yeah, if you don't mind, Adam, I'll do a quick demonstration instead. That'll be better. Yeah, guys, let's do this. Let's jump into PBN Lab real quick. So this is what I've got 3 top level accounts subscriptions. It's almost $1,000 a month. It's $300 a month for the top level subscription. But if you're not doing super heavy domain scraping, you probably don't need that. You are going to want at least what they call the Terra subscription level. Let me just copy that. Sorry, let me try this. That's probably just going to take me into the dashboard. Maybe not. Okay. Well, anyway, so here we go. If we scroll down here, this is I have 3 of the Exa subscriptions, but I recommend a minimum of a Terra subscription if you're going to do this, because it gives you single site crawls. And I've talked about why that's important. I don't know that we'll have enough time to get to that specifically here in this little demonstration, but single site crawls are important if you want to keep the crawler onto very specific topical categories. The only way to do that is with single site crawls. And those are only available with with this Terra or greater subscription level. Does that make sense? So that's what I recommend. And again, I teach exactly how I scrape domains for my link building business in the mastermind. I'm not going to go through the whole process here. There's no question. I'm not going to do that here, but you can see that, this one account, I've got 3, this one account, I've scraped 1.5 million domains, which is insane. And I've got 3 accounts. So I know I've scraped, I think about 6 million domains between the 3 accounts over the last 8 months now, almost 9 months. It's crazy, but it's just insane. But this is a great tool. And this is a fantastic tool. And Scott Moran is the guy, the owner and developer, and he's in Australia. He's a real nice guy. Highly encourage you guys check it out. But this is great. It'll take a while. It always does. I don't know which account I'm in. I've got 3 different accounts because I try to keep the crawler and only crawling sites within specific topics. So I have one for business, which includes like so when I say topics, let me give you another example. Stand by for a minute. This is called the Majestic Monitor. I've shared this before. All right. So these are the Majestic topical trust flow categories. So when I say business, I'm talking about everything that would pertain to the top level category, topical trust flow category of business. So there's all these subcategories within the business top level category, right? So like one of the ones that I use the most is going to be this one here, construction and maintenance, because I got a ton of contractor clients for my own agency and my own lead gen stuff, which is all in the contracting industries. And now through link building business, I got a bunch of plumbers and HVAC and roofers and pest control companies and all that kind of stuff. And so business / construction and maintenance is one of the categories that business period, but construction and maintenance, industrial goods and services, real estate, all of those, like there's industrial goods and services. There's, where was real estate? In here somewhere. Anyways, real estate's another big one because we got a bunch of real estate investors and stuff like that. So I have one count that all it does is I try to keep it crawling nothing but sites that have topical trust flow categories in business. Does that make sense? Then I have another PBN Lab account that crawls for society, which is for legal. So I call one the business account, one the legal account, and then the other one the health account that crawls for domains for chiropractors, attorneys, chiropractors and dentists and med spas and that kind of stuff. So we have a health account, a business account, and a legal account that I use for PBN Lab. And so I'm not sure which account I'm in here. But anyway, I've got minimum kind of filter set where my minimum typically is I look for minimum of 5 referring domains with trust flow greater than 10. So those are kind of like my minimum requirements. And then I can go in here and set the topical trust flow category that I want to only display domains that meet these filtering criteria, right? So for example, I just said business. If I just put business / construction, then it's only going to return domains that are in the business / construction and maintenance subcategory. Does that make sense? So if I click apply filter, now here we go. you can see that these are domains that are coming back. So like doorman MFG would be doorman manufacturing, right? If I open that up, you'll see that the top level topical trust flow category is business, construction, and maintenance. It's trust flow 29. There are 5 referring domains. And if I went and clicked Majestic Domain, now I'm not logged into this account, but I can log in. I'm going to log into, I've got 2 accounts for this because one of them has all my client data and the other one I use for training purposes, like in for sales presentations and stuff like what we're talking about here. So now you can see that this is showing the trust flow and topical trust flow of the root domain, but that's not really, that's just an aggregate. What we want to do here. Now, this is not a good domain to purchase. So any of you that just saw like, oh man, I'm going to go snag this up before Bradley does, this is not a good domain to buy. And I'll show you why. Look at the backlinks. The backlinks here, none of these backlinks are showing where this trust flow is coming from. So if you were to buy this domain and purchase it because it has what looks like to be good metrics, within about a month, it would probably go to trust flow value 0 because there's no backlinks. What shows on this kind of summary screen in Majestic are it always going to show the 3 most, what Majestic determines are the 3 most valuable or powerful backlinks to this domain. And if you look right here and you don't see where this trust flow is coming from, you should clearly be able to identify at least one backlink that is producing this trust flow in that category. And if you can't see that here, it's not a good domain to buy because it means you'll buy it and you'll have those trust flow metrics for a brief amount of time and then they'll disappear. It'll go to 0. Then you got to build tier 2 links to it anyways. What was the point? Does that make sense? So this, at first glance, this looks like a great domain without doing spam checking and everything else, but it's really not because I can very quickly determine there's no contributing backlink that is responsible for this trust flow in that category. If there was, you would see as the top listed link right here, it would be trust flow above 20 for sure, but probably closer to 25 or 30. And it would be in the business, construction, and maintenance category, topical trust flow category, which this is not. So therefore, this is not a good domain to purchase. However, let's just pretend that there was a backlink here with a trust flow 32 in business, construction, and maintenance. Well, then I'd say, okay, I'm going to continue looking at this domain a little bit further to determine is it worthy of purchasing. So the next thing I would do is go to anchor text, and I would determine if they're in this word cloud here, are there spammy anchor texts that aren't related to what this domain should be related to? If so, that means that's an indication that it's been spammed, right? It was purchased for another reason. Somebody put unrelated content on and then spammed it with backlinks. So if you look at the anchor text word cloud and you see unrelated kind of anchor text to whatever the domain is, then it's clearly been spammed. There's really no need to continue looking. But if it passes in this case, this passes the smell test, right? This has not been spammed. These are relevant anchor texts. Then the next thing I would do is go to the backlinks tab and take a look at the one backlink that's producing all the trust flow. In this case, it doesn't exist. But let's say that, like I said, it was trust flow 32, business, construction, and maintenance. It was going to be that link would be right here at the top. And then I would look at the date where it says first indexed and last seen. And I'd want to make sure that that link has been present for at least, 2 years, or roughly 2 years. And as long as it's been present for that amount of time, then it's likely that that link will remain present. If it's a new link, like within the last 6 months or something like that, then there's a very good chance that if we purchase the domain and put different, new content on it, that it will get discovered and that link will be removed. And if that backlink was the one link that's producing all of the trust flow, then I want to make sure that my chances of that link being removed are minimized. How do we do that? Well, if it's been there for an extended period of time, it's likely never going to be changed. So that's why, like I said, it's 2 years, just kind of a number I just pulled out of thin air, and we use that going forward. Like that's just kind of our minimum threshold. If it's just one backlink that's producing the trust flow, has it been present for a minimum of 2 years? And if it has been, then okay, then we can proceed with the next step in the spam checking process, which would be to go to pages and determine which version of the URL, the homepage URL, this is a domain, not a URL. We want to look at which version of the homepage URL has the highest trust flow values. And if you take a look, it's HTTP without the S with www. Now, so that's how I would build that site. If I was going to pick up this domain, which I wouldn't, because again, there is no link that is providing that trust flow value. So I know that this will likely, if I purchased this domain and built it out, on this specific format of the homepage URL, then I should have a trust flow 28, but there's no, where is that coming from? I couldn't identify that. So it's likely within about a month that would go to 0. So this is not a good domain to purchase. But just for example's sake, I just showed you guys. And again, that's PBN Lab. It's a great tool. Like I said, I've got 3 of them. I've been using this for going on 9 months now. And Scott is really responsive. He's in Australia, so different time zone, but he's always really responsive, really helpful. I encourage you guys to go check it out. That was a good question too. Brand new to local EMDs. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I know how long to get out of the roller coaster rankings going up, down drastically. It varies. With new sites, the sandbox period I think has been extended. I'm kind of experiencing that right now. I've been doing a ton of testing for the stuff that I'm going to be teaching at POFU Live, which is like an organic ranking. It's a site structure to rank organically without needing a Google business asset. And I've been doing a lot of testing with that, and I'm seeing a lot of the sandbox time, which is like when a new site has been launched, like it goes into like a probationary period before it can really rank well. I'm finding that seems to be extended from what it used to be. I don't know what the actual time frame is, but I'm seeing more than 3 weeks now. For usually like backlinks or on page changes, you want to wait about 3 weeks for the Google dance to subside. But with brand new websites, I think that time's been extended. Again, I'm looking at 6 weeks now for some of the projects I've been testing with, and I'm still seeing volatile swings. They appear in the index and then they drop out, and then they come back and they rank high, and then they drop out of the index again, and then they come back and they're on page 5, and then they come back and they're on page 2. You know what I mean? So I'm seeing a lot of really weird things going on right now with new sites. Once they're established, it's generally about 3 weeks. Just when you make significant changes to on page or do significant backlink building, it takes about 3 weeks for the dance to subside. Okay. Best way to index cloud links. This last question, guys. Index Me Now is my favorite tool for indexing. It's expensive as hell, but for cloud, that's why I don't do cloud stacks. I do cloud pages. Index Me Now, it's a French company, but you can have it translated to English. It's stupid expensive though. Look at that. If you're just buying a starter package, it's 82 cents per indexed link, but they do refund the credit if it's not indexed in 10 days. So I buy it $1,000 at a time so that it's 49 cents per link credit or index credit. It's expensive, but it works really, really well. But that's why, like I said, I don't do cloud pages or cloud stacks. I do cloud pages. One more I'm going to point out is speed-links.net. I use this as well for, I use the Index Me Now for rebuilds, but then I use this for a lot of other stuff. And I use this right here, the VIP package. I've got 2 of these subscriptions, and this works really well. This works really good. If you're going to be doing a lot of cloud stack stuff, then you're probably going to want something like this. Not these. These are for bulk shitty links. These up here, the VIP subscription levels. These are for much higher quality links like cloud stacks would be. So this for your best links, this for your supporting links. That's what I do. Great questions today, guys. Appreciate you hanging out for a few extra minutes, Chris.